As the coronavirus pandemic brings life across the country to a grinding halt, Americans are facing a new normal, one that may include losing their jobs, losing their income, and even losing their health insurance. To help us navigate this, let's bring in NBC News senior business correspondent Stephanie Ruhle and NBC News investigative and consumer correspondent Vicki Nguyen. Steph, let's start with you. People have either lost their income as a result of the pandemic or on the verge of losing their income. What can they do?
File for unemployment. I know that we are watching the news every day and we get different messages, and it sounds like people might be getting an actual check from the government. But we also know that unemployment benefits, more and more people are asking for them. Certain states are seeing more people apply for unemployment in a day than they see normally over weeks. So people need to go on their state's website, make sure you're going .gov, not .com, because you don't want to end up on a scam site, and immediately apply. The government has actually fast-tracked people to receive it because normally there's a decent amount of lag time, but right now the government knows this is like a natural disaster. The president has said he considers himself a wartime president, and that money, people need it, especially if they're being asked to stay at home, to take care of their kids, and they don't have any income. So apply for that unemployment, and hopefully it'll get there soon.
And Steph, I know a lot of business owners. I was a small business owner at one point. You think, okay, if I just bring them back to part-time, I'm helping them out a lot. Is that the best thing to do?
Not right now, because what we're being told from a medical perspective, and you know this better than I do, is simply to shut down for a period of time. And I know it's hard because when you run a small business, it's like a family. You're a team. But the sooner you can say, let's put these employees in a position where maybe they can be getting government support, leave in that direction, then you know what? When things are back up and running, when we're out from under this cloud, then you can bring those employees back. Hopefully they'll be available.
I hope so, and I hope it's not as long as it looks like it might be. But Vicki, spring break is coming up, and a lot of folks are going to go vacationing, and they're going to stay in Airbnbs. What should they do?
Well, if that trip is within the next 15 days, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but on Monday, President Trump made it very clear he wants all Americans to stay home, and that means staying home from spring break. I don't want to tell you, and it's not fun, but this is an extraordinary time where we have to accept a new normal and take extraordinary steps. Now, if your trip is beyond that 15-day window, things are certainly still in flux. The CDC has certain guidelines and questions that you should be asking. Are you headed to an area where coronavirus is spreading? Are you traveling in close contact with other people? Are you yourself healthy? Will you have a plan for what to do if you get sick? And then when you come back, who are you coming into contact with? Those are all questions that the CDC is asking people to consider before they take any sort of non-discretionary trips. Also, can you take any time off when you return? What if you do get sick? What's the plan there? The idea now is, as you know, we need to slow the spread of this virus. So the sooner that we can do that, the sooner things can return to normal. If you have plans for an Airbnb, right now Airbnb has just announced that they have extended their policies for extenuating circumstances. So they are allowing people to cancel without penalty. So if you're considering a spring break trip, you want to cancel, you're worried about losing your money on an Airbnb, you can get it back.
And something you brought to mind is if you do go to a place that turns into a hot spot, especially if you're around somebody that has COVID-19, the disease, you might end up getting quarantined for 14 days back here. You might not be able to go to work. So the same thing you said, you need to be ready for that.
Exactly. You've got to build that time in. Is it worth the risk right now?
And Steph, Ford, GM, Chrysler, they all announced today that they're temporarily closing factories because of this virus. What does that mean for their workers?
You know, that depends on which of the big three. You know that before we heard this about the auto companies, some of the biggest companies out there who have had to lay off or temporarily close down because they're not necessarily laying off workers, they're just closing down. So when we've seen that happen in stores, for example, like the Apple store, they were willing to pay those part-time employees during this time. Now, in the auto industry's case, those are full-time employees, so we don't know the details to that yet. But what those auto workers should do is talk to their own HR department.
And see what they're going to do, what their company's trying to do with them. And
remember, you just said you at one point you were a small business owner. These big companies are in a very different situation. They have a lot more slack and cushion, or at least they should, to support their employees during a stress time like this. It's one of the reasons a lot of people are seeing pushback against the idea of a bailout for the auto industry. Because I want to remind people that 96% of what's known as the free cash flow, the money that airlines had on hand over the last few years, they didn't save as a rainy day cushion. They used it to buy back shares. You know who that serves? Shareholders, not the employees, not their end user customers. So at a time like this is when companies want to have a cushion.
And so it's time to take care of that employee right now because they obviously need it, especially what's going on over the next couple of weeks and couple of months. But Vicki, one of the other things that's going on out there are a lot of consumer scams that are circulating around. What should people be on the lookout for?
Anything coming to their email box or that's being shared on their social media that's too good to be true. Some key scams to be looking for: phishing emails. These are the emails that look like they're coming from an official source. Maybe they look like they're coming from the World Health Organization or the CDC with some information about the coronavirus that you haven't heard, and they're urging you to click on a link or download an attachment. Never, ever do that. Not only could that be putting your personal information at risk, that could also put you at risk for ransomware, where bad software is being downloaded onto your computer and then freezing all of your files. So be on the lookout for those things. Also, those emails that seem like they're from people that you know, telling you something that seems too good to be true that you haven't heard, like holding your breath for 10 seconds. And if you can do that, that means you don't have the coronavirus. Or drinking water every 15 minutes is going to help you avoid the virus. These are things that, for whatever reason, are going around. Scammers are using them to try to phish, look for data patterns. Don't fall for these things. Always go to a trusted, reputable news source. And if you are looking for information, go to that website. Go to the CDC's website or the World Health Organization or NBCnews.com. Go there directly. Never click on links from emails that you are not expecting. The other scams that are going around have to do with cures. We're seeing now fake testing kits that are being circulated, that are being sold direct to consumer on online marketplaces. You cannot get a coronavirus test direct to consumer. These are only being administered through public health departments. So if someone wants you to pay them money for a test that promises you results for the coronavirus, don't fall for that scam.
And there is no cure for coronavirus, bottom line, so don't fall for that any way, shape, or form. And Stephanie, April 15th is around the corner, just a few weeks away. Are taxes still going to be due that day?
Taxes are due that day. We know that this has been a very stressed time for a lot of people, so you might want to apply for an extension. But remember, even if you apply for an extension, that still means you need to guesstimate how much you owe and send that money in. You don't want to put yourself delayed, because that's when you can suddenly be incurring late fees and penalties.
Vicki, right now, people are worried about jobs. There are still some folks hiring out there, right? Who are they?
Yeah, earlier in your show, you talked about Amazon, but all the grocery chains, big ones, Albertsons, Safeway, Kroger, not only hiring, but they're opening up new positions. Kroger's hired 2,000 people. They have 10,000 more openings. Here's one you might not be thinking about. As you're staying home for these 15 days, maybe you're looking over your resume, considering what happens on the other side of this. IXL is an online learning company. A lot of those companies now are opening new positions for educators and people who can help in that space, because there's a lot of stay-at-home school happening right now, and that's going to be happening for the foreseeable future. So check into those online companies as well as grocery stores if you want to get back to work right now.
And Stephanie,
I need to correct something. Yeah. I made a mistake. They have actually delayed April 15th. Americans now have an extra 90 days to pay. But remember, if you are ready to file, the sooner you file, if you think you're getting a refund, the sooner you get it back. And if you file online rather than on paper, you're going to get it even sooner.
And you can still file an extension if you need to, correct?
Absolutely.
Now, stick with you for a little while longer. If things keep going on, it looks like we're in this for the long haul. How quickly can we expect that labor market to start returning to normal, to turn around?
Listen, this is really, really complicated. And we've got different numbers, different estimates every day. It was just a couple days ago, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said he didn't expect a recession at all. And now across the board, more and more people, including the president, are saying we're facing a recession, a global recession. Something to think about, though. We've heard a lot about this V. The president has said it. Some economists have said it. Coronavirus is causing the economy, the markets, to go like this. And as soon as we come out the other side and the numbers go down, it's going to shoot right back up like that, like a V. But people should be more prepared for the idea of a U. And here's why. People change their behavior. If we are suddenly in lockdown or we're changing our behavior over a couple of months, when we come out the other side, we might not be interested in exactly the same things. And think about it from a business perspective. If suddenly companies realize they don't need to be spending that much on corporate travel or events or conferences, telework might work a whole lot better. You're going to see companies change corporate behavior. And for the hotel, for the travel industry, that's their biggest ticket clients, corporate America. You could see that change. You could even see your personal behavior change. You might go to the movies every week. Once you discover that you got Netflix or you like playing board games or puzzles, you might not go back to that movie theater. So consumer companies are starting to prepare for these changes, retailers especially.
Stephanie and Vicki, thank you so much for helping us get through this maze of our financial health, which is important for just about everybody. So thank you very much for helping us out here.
Great to be here.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.